Welcome to Weekend Wisdom number 50. This week we're going to talk about intrusion prevention systems. Last week we talked about intrusion detection systems, or IDS. They have a logical kind of follow-on component called an intrusion prevention system, or IPS. And an IPS behaves in the same way as an IDS in that it looks for dodgy traffic or kind of suspicious traffic. Except in the case of an IPS, it will try and block that traffic from doing any damage to the network or devices. So there are different types of IPS. There would be a host-based IPS, which would be a piece of software usually that sits on a computer that will look for malicious activity and try and prevent it from doing any damage on that computer. You would have a network IPS, which would be usually a device that sits on the network and would look for any kind of dodgy traffic that goes across the network and again try to prevent it from getting to its destination or doing any damage. There would be a kind of a wireless equivalent of that as well, which would be a different type, but same idea, but on a wireless network. And finally, you'd have a network behavioral IPS, which would look for kind of specific dodgy types of traffic going on across the network. So they would look for things like floods of data from a distributed denial of service attack or DDoS attack, trying to flood the network and slow it down. That type of IPS would be able to block that and stop that from happening and not taking down the network. So that's it for this week. Let's be careful out there, and we'll talk to you again next week.